wanna wish you a happy birthday. I wanna wish you a happy birthday. I wanna wish you a happy... Hey everybody, and happy birthday to GMG. We made it another year. Year 3. Wow, can't believe it's been over 1,000 days now of me doing this. As we do every year, I figured I'd talk a little bit about what happened in the last 365 days, what got done, what we accomplished, and I shouldn't say we, I guess I should just say I always say we universally because I always think of the people we collaborate with, but it is just me. What I got done, and talk a little bit about what's coming up in the upcoming year. So first, the good. Well, I painted over 500 miniatures this year, 50 of which were in the last month or so, and I painted that Deathwatch army. But I painted several new armies. I painted a Steel Phalanx army for Infinity. I painted an entire Onyx army. I painted an entire Yu Ching army for Operation Red Veil and all the new stuff that came up for that. I painted a Deathwatch army, a Sylvaneth army. I painted an Iden the Deepkin army and added more stuff to my Stormcast Eternals. I painted new teams for Guild Ball. I painted several new armies for Malifaux. I painted new games for Dark Age. I painted an entire collection of Eden miniatures. I painted a Knight army, which I keep forgetting about. I painted a Trollbloods army for War Machine, a Signar army. I painted, a Circle army. Painted a pile more stuff for Frostgrave. Huge amount of Reaper minis for Witchborn. All the new stuff for God tier, and I'm forgetting stuff. Oh yeah, I repainted all my Titanic and stuff from 30 years ago. I painted an entire set of Hero Quests, which you'll see coming up. I got that together. More new stuff for Relic Blade. Jeez, looking around here, I painted a bananas amount of stuff. Then on top of that, all the terrain and stuff that goes with those various games. Oh, my Old West stuff. We did all the Old West stuff this year too. Dracula's America. We did Gaslands. Painted tons of cards for Gaslands. It was a big year for miniature painting. So 500 different things. You'll see them all flash along behind me, just as I go through this, and you can just see some of the miniatures I painted last year. All the Aristaya stuff. Holy moly! Jeez, I painted a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff came out this year. And it's been great. It's funny because so many great things have come out this year. I've had the opportunity to just jump around and paint all different genres. And as you guys probably know, if you've been a subscriber to the channel for a while, miniature painting is my one bit of hobby that's just for me still, which is why I still refuse to make painting videos. I'll show you what I painted each week, but I don't actually do painting videos because if I did that, it would turn miniature painting into work. I would never watch Netflix. I've never spent any time with my wife. And I'd never have any quiet moments to decompress and just do my thing, miniature painting. So keeping that numbers up, I'm not doing it. There's too many other people out there that are doing painting videos. You don't need me, and it's the one thing I have left that's just for me. So leave me alone, damn it. So that was great this year. We tried out over 30 new games, everything from independent games to new versions of mainstream games. New editions of things like Necromunda came out. We had tons of fun doing Gaslands and Dracula's America. New supplements for This Is Not a Test. We got tons of new stuff on the horizon. Of course, we tried out God tier in the open beta. New edition of 40K, I guess who can forget about that. We had, just piles and piles and piles of new games this year, which of course has been a blast to go through and try and learn about as we do, and piles more coming up. There's this endless queue of new games to try, and they're all just rolling out into the future. You'll see some of them real soon, and of course, they just keep getting added onto. So that was the next good thing. Was tons and tons of games. We hit 40,000 subscribers. I hit 40,000 subscribers. I always say we because I feel like it was like a royal we because I collaborate with so many people. But yeah, no, I hit 40,000 subscribers. That was quite the milestone, and it seems to have just continued to be a positive response for all of the things that I keep doing. So I'm really happy that people keep enjoying it, and that footprint keeps growing. A lot of like almost 10,000 followers on Facebook and stuff too, as I dick around. People just people talk to me, and I get to make a fool of myself daily on Facebook. There's been a lot of memes made. I feel like, there's been a lot of memes made about me this year. That's actually worth mentioning. I feel like when you hit meme status, that's like a hallmark in and of itself. And some of the memes have been just great. Some have been absolutely terrified. There's 3 or 4 individuals who will remain nameless to protect their skills and talents that are accomplished meme makers. And I will tell you right now that the meme game by the community at large has been strong and often terrifying and make me afraid to post pictures of myself on the internet, as they will often be memed. And then of course, I've just had a fantastic collection of people coming in and filming games with me. That's always my favorite thing, being able to collaborate with people having just spent more time with my friends in the last 3 years than I have in the 10 years before that. You guys all have your favorites, but of course getting to spend more time with my boy Clarence back from Korea, Jay, whose schedules have just synced up with mine again, so we're able to spend time together, and of course, you know, my boy Owen, who, you know, is my constant source of support basically as we film games together, has just been fantastic over the last year. So thanks to all you guys, just to name a few individuals. There's so many more out there. I could, all the Mikes, all the Jays. There's a whole bunch of Jays and a whole bunch of Mikes. My buddy Christian came down, Mike Wolf. I shouldn't start naming names, because if I keep naming names, it's just going to go into infinity basically, and I'm going to be doing that forever. So you know who you are. If you spend time with me this year and we film games, any amount of games, thanks so much. And yeah, and those are the highlights, I think. Of course, a lot of companies that I got to do work with have done really well this year. That's been exciting. And of course, you know, stuff like we had my work with Osprey basically turn into having a book published. So that was pretty exciting this year. It's not actually out this year. It'll be an accomplishment, I guess, for the year after, but it's done. And there's more stuff in the works for more games. So now being a game designer, like officially, like there's something you guys can buy. It comes out in 2 weeks. That was a pretty cool accomplishment too. That's like one off the bucket list. I've got more stuff in the works for Osprey too, so I hope you guys enjoy that. I got to go to some cool shows, of course. Doing my thing with Osprey at Adepticon every year is super fun, and getting to see a lot of you guys face to face was great too. And then last but not least, it was a big sort of like year for, I guess, the growth of like what I have as far as like plans. And some of the plans didn't happen. There was things I wanted to do that got pushed back. And that's, I think, a good place to dovetail into kind of the struggles of this year, some things that didn't go so great. The first one was, of course, just the world at large is kind of in disarray economically and socially. Things happened that, of course, affected me on the back end in ways you guys can't see, like just currency conversion. So, of course, Patreon is a US platform. Of course, everything's in US dollars. So the value of US dollars, having a bit of a roller coaster ride this year, has pretty much drastically wiped out any growth I had as far as patronage and Patreon. I've got more patrons today than I did last year, but that support, unfortunately, the value goes down just based on where the US currency is. So that's been kind of a struggle. It's been supported a bit by doing more mainstream content, and that is something that I wanted to avoid doing, but it's become kind of a reality because mainstream content just generates more YouTube views. There's nothing to be, no mess around about it, and that's become a requirement basically to have more mainstream content to try and balance out the amount of revenue lost through the roller coaster ride of the US dollar. And just dollar currencies in general going up and down. A little bit of stronger Canadian dollar, but mostly just other currencies fluctuating a great deal. Patronage basically has flatlined in the last like 6 months. And that's been a bit scary for me because I've, of course, signed on for 3 more years of this. I took over the studio space it's sort of completely now, and I'm here whether I like it or not for 3 more years. But of course, if it can't work anymore, if costs get too high, or revenue just continues to either flatten or go down, then I'll have to sublet this place out and we'll have to call it a day. So that's been a little bit scary, but of course the increased revenue by focusing on more mainstream stuff has helped to keep the flat line from turning into a backwards, which is good. Yeah, and that's, of course, there's lots of ways that can hopefully, that could change in the future, but unfortunately the channel isn't big enough in YouTube terms to qualify for things like the sponsor program or any of the usual YouTube ways that YouTubers who are independently sponsored make income. And so Patreon's kind of it. Patreon also made a big snafu trying to push costs onto patrons in the last year, and that was a big upset for every single person on Patreon. It scared away a lot of people that were patrons because they were going to push all the service charges onto the patrons as opposed to us eating them as the artists, which we've done since the beginning. And that was just a huge thing. They didn't end up doing it because we raised such a stink, but everybody on Patreon basically got hammered by it. It's been a rough 6 months if you use Patreon, or if you're just riding the currency waves. So yeah, that's been kind of the scary part, is even though the viewership goes up, most people on YouTube are just used to getting stuff for free because YouTube is free. I don't want to hide content behind a paywall, so Patreon is the best answer, is doing basically support if you want to support. But of course that comes with its own foibles of people people basically just have to feel generous. And if they don't feel generous, then stuff goes down. Or if people just, figure someone else take care of it and I'll just continue enjoying the content for free, then that's what happens. So it's been 3 years. It's been a bit scary. We're still in a safe place, but we've basically plateaued and certain things are going backwards, which means I've had to focus more on other things that generate more interest and more views, because that's the only way that I can actually control revenue, as opposed to hoping more people become patrons. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the content this year. We got lots of stuff coming out. I should probably talk about that. I got more pans in the fire for Osprey, some stuff that I've been talking about with them for future game ideas and supplements and stuff too, so you can expect more from Last Days. Last Days, of course, comes out in 2 weeks. So if you're interested in a zombie apocalypse game, you have a whole month of content for that coming out. We've already filmed the first 4 games. Jay's back with his everyday heroes, who are hilarious. And I'm playing Vince and the bad guys. So I'm actually playing the bad guys this time around, which is kind of neat. We've got Hero Quest I'll be filming this week, which I'm super stoked about. We're getting the band back together to film some Hero Quest. And that's going to be a pilot run for the thing that I really wanted to do this year, but I haven't been able to do because I just don't have the money for the equipment. And that is D&D. I really want to start getting into D&D. I'm probably going to run a whole separate kind of module for GMG that's not to do with wargaming, so people who are interested in D&D can come over to that side and support the D&D stuff, and I'll probably do it once a week. But it needs more equipment. It needs things like a 4-channel mixer and individual mics and stuff like that I just, with costs changing and taking over the responsibility of the whole studio, that's not been possible for me. So yeah, hopefully this coming year we can keep growing into a place where I can start doing D&D. I have so much resources for it now. We have such great dungeon terrain. I have this huge collection of Reaper minis that I'm putting together right now to do D&D, and I'm excited about it. I want to try the challenge of being a first-time dungeon master, running some adventures for people, and just having... I had tons of stuff for it as a kid. I never played it, so I'd literally be in my 30s playing D&D for the first time, even though I grew up with D&D, which is a weird thing. But I'm hoping you guys enjoy watching that going forth in the future. And of course, we've got tons more indie games coming up. I'm super stoked to try out the Drowned Earth. We have more Relic Blade happening. God Tier gets released later on this year. Great news from Steamforged. We've got a campaign I'm doing. I wrote a campaign module for Uprising for Infinity that Owen and I are going to play through. It's going to be super fun. It's just such a good time to be miniature wargaming. And then Jay and I are going to dress up like luchadors and do wrestling too. How about that? If I get 100 new patrons, Jay and I will literally dress like luchadors and play Rumble Slam. I'll get into a spandex unitard and dress up like Kurt Angle. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Brief overview of the year. You can see some of the great memes and stuff scrolling by me. If you do want to check me out on Patreon, you can click the link up here. And of course, I hope you guys continue to subscribe for the year going forward, and that you continue to enjoy everything that I make. It's been an absolute blast for the last 3 years. There's so much more to do and so much more to come, and I'm just excited to do it with you guys, and hopefully you guys can enjoy this whole ride as much as I do. So we'll see you next time for more of this. Till I'm Ash. Have a good night. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.